So now you always have to make sure that you read the directions carefully so that you know what you're looking at a graph of. So this is a graph of slopes. And I know a graph of slopes will tell me about the slopes based off of the position of the curve with respect to the x-axis. So I notice here I'm above the x-axis, so I have a positive slope, which means that my function f is increasing. And then here I'm below the x-axis, so I have a negative slope, which would mean f is decreasing. And then this last chunk is back to being positive. It's above the x-axis, so I have a positive slope. So again, f is increasing. So when it says find the intervals where f is increasing, I'm looking for where it's above the x-axis. So I see it's from 0 to 4, and what was that, a 6 to 7? Because it's above the x-axis. In other words, it's positive. You have to fit that word in there. Okay, so now on the next one, the graph will have a maximum, remember, when I switch from a positive slope to a negative slope, right? So I'd have to be positive on the left and negative on the right. And so that only occurs here, where I went from a positive slope to a negative slope. So at x equals 4, because the graph changes from positive to negative. Okay, so now when it starts talking about concavity, I want to look at f double prime, but that means I want the slope of the first derivative, right? The slope of the slopes. So when I look up here, I go, oh, first the slope is positive, and then it maxes out. I guess that's like 1.5, right? I get a maximum. And then the slope is negative, and it's negative all the way until I hit that other turning point, which means I'd have a minimum, right? And then the slope gets positive again. All the slopes are positive. So now remember, the function is concave up if second derivative, in other words the slopes, which I just drew up there in blue, is, well, let's do this, concave up if f double prime is positive, and concave down if f double prime is negative. And so I notice that up here, f double prime, which is the slopes, I wrote them in, is positive from 0 to 1.5, and that looks like it's about 5 to 7. And then the slope is negative between 1.5 and 5. So that's when it's concave down. And so to answer part D, remember I'll have points of inflection where it changes concavity. So I'm changing from concave up to concave down at 1.5. And I'm changing from concave down back to concave up at 5. That's all for today, kids.